you may take your seats, and I'm going to invite Mike up. Absolutely, I can get that out of here.
Good morning. How's everybody? Good? Yeah, I am Michael Behm, and it is an honor to be here with you today to share one phrase that will be helpful in every area of your life. One phrase that will help in your work life, one phrase that will help in your family life, one phrase that will help with complete random strangers, one phrase that will help make difficult conversations less difficult. Because let's be honest, right? We have lives filled with conflictive and emotion-filled, difficult conversations. You have a staff member that is underperforming, or you have a volunteer that's just stopped performing, right? You've got an over-opinionated person in your church that loves to share those opinions about their masks and vaccination things, right? Or you have the over-political person on your church board that loves to tell you what you need to be preaching about, because as pastors, we love to be told what we should be preaching about, right? Or maybe it's a family thing, right? You've got an aging parent that needs to move into a home, or you have an aging child that needs to move out of the home, right? Well, these are emotion-filled, conflictive, difficult conversations that we don't go looking for. They just happen. And they're important conversations that need to happen. Why do they need to happen? Why do you think that they need to happen? Well, there's a problem that needs a solution, right? And there's a conflict that needs a resolution, correct? Right? They're important conversations that need to happen. But why don't we have these difficult conversations? Because they're difficult. They're difficult conversations. How do we get it started? What do we do, right? How do we get going? And there's one scripture that really helped me to put this into a phrasing that helped me to get it started, okay? It comes from James chapter 1, verse 19. Some of you may know this, just have memorized it, but it just says, "Understand this, my dear brothers and sisters. You must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry," right? We remember this. We need to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. And I'll tell you what, I can confess here today, I do this really well in reverse, right? I am quick to get angry. I usually shows up in a way of being defensive, defending myself when I get into these difficult conversations. And then as far as talking, I'm really quick to talk, and I keep talking. I keep talking to them because I got to convince them of my point. I got to share with them what they need to see, and they're not seeing. They don't understand where I'm coming from. I got to defend myself. And when it comes time to pause and listen, it is just a pause because I need to reload my ammunition, right? So I'm waiting for them to close their mouth so I can keep going again, right? We do this really well in reverse. And I know that you have difficult conversations in your life. You may be here at this retreat trying to get away from those difficult conversations, but unfortunately, they're waiting for you when you get back, aren't they? So wouldn't it be nice to have one phrase that could help you to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry? Wouldn't it be nice to have one phrase that would help you to make these difficult conversations less difficult? Yeah? Are you ready for the phrase? Here's the phrase. It's a great phrase. Pay attention. If you're a note taker, get ready. Here we go. The phrase is this: help me understand. Help me understand. It's such a beautiful phrase. I want you to just say it out loud and just feel how good it is, right? Here we go. Help me understand. Yeah. Help me understand. Help me understand engages James 1:19 to be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to get angry in the right order. It's the one phrase that will help you to make difficult conversations less difficult, and does it in three ways, okay? There's three things that this phrase, help me understand, does. The first thing is it elevates the person over the problem. It elevates the person over the problem, right? You're talking to a real person. There's somebody there that has an emotional investment in whatever view that they're holding or whatever concern that they have or whatever problem that you're facing. There's a real person there, and that has a real relationship that you need to maintain. It's a real person, and they have a real humanity that needs to be honored. And so help me understands helps to elevate the person above the problem. The second thing that this phrase, help me understand, does is it helps you to focus on finding, not fixing. It helps you to focus on finding, not fixing. I love to fix problems. When there's a problem, let's fix it. But I need to first focus on finding. I'm dealing with a real person that has a real conviction. They woke up that morning. They didn't wake up that morning and just be like, I'm just going to be a pain in the patootie, right? They have a whole life that has brought into the place that they hold this thing so dear. And they have information that I don't have. I need to focus on finding what information that they have that I don't have. And it may even be that they need some information that I thought they would have from me, but they don't have. So I need to focus on finding, not fixing. The third thing that this phrase, help me understand, does for us is it helps us to listen between the lines. It helps us to listen between the lines. Sure, we are hearing what they said, but how are they saying it? What is their tone? What is their body language? What is their posture doing? What are things that are not being said? Are they having trouble putting into words what they're feeling and thinking about things? We need to listen between the lines. This is one phrase that helps us to make these difficult conversations less difficult. Let me give you a couple examples of how this actually plays out in life. And it played out in my life. I've got one from work and one from family. And so from the work one, I have a church member that was very adamant that they were not going to attend church unless everyone was wearing a mask, okay? They were not going to do it. They were not going to attend church unless everyone was wearing a mask. And right away, I'm just feeling all of this stuff. I'm like, oh, but we have a good policy put in place that makes room for people that wear masks and for people not to wear masks. And we're doing all the healthy things. And you know what? It's just better to be together than it is to just be online or separate like that. I had all of it, right? But instead, I thought, I need to put the person above the problem. And so I just simply asked, I said, well, help me understand what's important to you about masks. Also, they have information that maybe I don't have, right? What's important to you about masks? Now, some of my assumption was, you know what, they're afraid. They're scared to get COVID because if they get it, they're going to die, right? They're just afraid. They're just living in fear. Now, that's what I was thinking. It was an assumption that I made. However, by asking the question, help me understand what's important to you about masks, I learned something. And what was helpful for me to understand was it wasn't about fear of getting COVID. It was about let's get out of this thing. If everyone would do what they're telling us to do, we could just move forward. They wanted to get through this whole pandemic, and they were frustrated that no one else was taking it seriously. That changed my perspective. Now, they are still watching online, will not attend church regularly, but here's the win, right? It didn't turn out the way I wanted to. I wanted them in church, right? That's what I wanted. It didn't turn out that way, but the way it turned out is I can now see them out in public, and it's not weird, right? They're wearing a mask, and I'll put a mask on, and we're there, and we can just be human beings to one another. It's not weird. It's not awkward because I put the person above the problem because I was finding more information than just trying to fix whatever it I thought was needing to be fixed. I took the time to listen between the lines, okay? Here's another example from my life. This one's a little more recent. I have an aging mother And she has early onset Alzheimer's, so she's forgetful of things, but she is in a place where she has her own home. She lives in Michigan, and she has her own home, and her younger brother, John, which would be my Uncle John, he takes great care of her. He just lives a few blocks away, and they wanted me to be the power of attorney for her for when the time comes to put her in a home, and we'll do that, right? Well, she called me one day, very upset, which is usually when she calls me. But she calls me when she was very upset, and she just said, well, what did you and John decide about putting me in a nursing home? I don't know I was just taken aback. Like, where did this come from? I didn't know that we decided to put you in a nursing home. I didn't know we were supposed to do that now. And I just kept thinking, like, oh my gosh, is she just losing her mind? And I'm like, that's a horrible thing to think as a son for your mother who is losing her mind, right? It's just a horrible thing. And I just thought, wow, that's awful. How can I really get down into what she's going through, right? And she's got Alzheimer's, so she doesn't remember things well, and she gets confused. And so I was just taken aback, and I said, well, help me understand where this is coming from. Help me understand where this is coming from. And she was able to share with me something that was helpful for me to understand, is that John, my Uncle John, had been just talking with her about the conversation he and I had about being the power of attorney, and that we would someday need to sign all the legal papers when the time came to take over, and then if that meant putting in her home and things like that. He was just sharing that with her. And okay, that's good information to know, but there was some information she didn't have, right? And so I said, well, Mom, what would really be helpful for you right now? Can you help me understand what would be helpful? Well, I just don't want to be put somewhere and then forgotten about. Okay, so there's something more here. You're feeling that we'll make a decision to tuck you away somewhere and then just forget about you. And then I said, well, would it be helpful if we got some different brochures of the different nursing homes and assisted living places around you? You can take a look at them, and that you can help us decide where would be some good places that you would feel like going. And then we'll make sure that you're not forgotten about. Yeah, that would be really helpful, right? Help me understand, right? Help me understand, got us to a place of putting the person above the problem. Help me understand, help me to focus on finding and not fixing, and help me understand, help me to listen between the lines so that I could really get down to what the issue is. Now, maybe your life is different, and you have different difficult conversations that you are facing when you go back here after the retreat. And if you do, and you want some help working through this, I'm happy to do that. I'd love to connect with you. If you don't want to think about it at the retreat, that's totally cool. Let's connect, get you some contact info. We'll connect at another time. But if nothing else, if you take away one thing from this little Cov talk that I'm doing today, I want you to take away the one phrase that's going to help you to make difficult conversations less difficult. And that phrase is? Help me understand. Absolutely. Thank you for allowing me to come and talk here with you this morning and share this. I know that Paula has some next steps for us of what the rest of the day is going to look like. And so I'm going to turn that over to her here now.